with the one gentleman, I met him and we were talking and I said, so given the opportunity, if you were able to, open a mine, get, people back to work or create jobs in renewable energy or something new, what would you do? And he said, I would open a mine. And I said, so even knowing that you would be saying to your son, okay, here's a job, you're going to get sick like you are, you would want to bestow that upon somebody else? And it was funny because you saw the light bulb go on in his mind. You saw that switch flip. And it was the first time where he realized, he's like, no, that's not wait, hold on. And he took back what he said about opening a mine and said, no, I wouldn't want that. And 2 weeks after the interview, he died because of black lung. And it's sad to me because this was the first moment where he sort of realized there was hope, there was something that could be done.
So are you excited about the doc coming out?
It is one of those things where it's been, since the very, very first conversation we had about the documentary would be 3.5 years ago.
3 years already?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so to finally have it in front of an audience and to finally, and not only just any audience, like the audience that I truly wanted to have it in front of with PBS, it's very, very satisfying to know that we finally finished it and got it out to people.
So we've already told everybody that the documentary is called Jonathan Scott's Power Trip. I just want to preface that though. I have been dealing with Jonathan Scott's Power Trip my entire life.
So it's taken 42 years, not 3 years.
Exactly.
It's one really long power trip. You can attest, like the whole reason this film happened is because when we were doing the solar in Vegas, on the house in Vegas, and I remember we even talked about it. We were talking about how, we got to find ways recycling, because when we first moved to Vegas, there was no recycling in Vegas. It didn't happen anywhere. So we started, the recycling program came in, started doing that right away. And then we talked about solar. And so it seemed like a logical, thing to do. We looked around, found a company that was going to put it on the roof. And once the system was installed, it was months that I fought with the utility, NV Energy, just for them to come with their inspector, flick a switch and say, okay, you're good to use it. They didn't want to lose the hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month that we were paying for power. And so finally, after I think it was something like 5 months, maybe 4 months, they gave me the approval, flicked the switch, and then only a matter of weeks after that, all of a sudden, all energy, all solar in Nevada was killed because they did away with net metering, which is probably the single biggest benefit for people, that they can sell back any of the excess power that they use.
Yeah, maybe fully explain what net metering means, because I think one thing for a lot of people, they're really interested in the idea of offsetting their costs. It's going to save them money. They're also interested in potentially doing something good for the planet, but they just don't know where to start.
One of the biggest benefits with solar is, you're doing something great for the environment, for human health, but also you reduce your costs. That's one of the huge benefits. And with net metering, what net metering allows is if you produce more energy than you're going to use, that excess energy goes back into the grid. The utility can sell that to somebody else, and then they can pay you for it. And so otherwise, the utility is basically getting to sell the energy you produced without paying you for it.
Yeah, so it was a way for people not just to offset their utility costs, they could actually make money on whatever was left over.
So the individual homeowners can start making money from whatever they do not use.
Exactly. And there's some places in the country where people are able to, like, if I've met with a lot of farmers in Georgia and whatnot, and there are people who could create these, solar arrays on their property and then actually power their neighbors. Or in a building with community solar, you can have community solar and it can benefit everybody in a low-income building. And so in Vegas, I have to have an NV Energy account. Even if I use no power, they at least get that $15 a month for the minimum fee. So anyway, so going back, when I started learning about all this stuff, I was thinking, what's important to me? There are two things that are important to me. What's good for the environment, and that's obviously reducing greenhouse gases, reducing our carbon footprint, doing something healthy for the environment. And then the other is what's good for people. Well, the human health aspect, not having dirty coal power plants. It's amazing how the negative effects, and most of those are usually close to low-income communities who don't have the political might or the money to fight back. So what's good for people? I'd say cleaning up the air, cleaning up the water, the soil, and also reducing monthly expenses, creating jobs. Well, now in America, there's only 50,000 coal jobs left in all of America. So it's crazy to me that when you think of all of these new industries that could revitalize these towns, give jobs, create jobs, reduce the human health aspects, and it's being fought against so hard. I'm like, that to me tells me there's something very shady going on.
Well, that's exactly it. For me, whenever you hear the debate, because none of us want to see, families that have lived off of fossil fuel, like their families had jobs with coal or however they had.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is take away jobs from people who have done this for generations.
Or vilify them. There's no, like this, we wouldn't have had the Industrial Revolution if it wasn't for our coal miners. And Grandpa was a coal miner.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing too. So what can we do though? We now know, we're always learning. We didn't know what we know about pollution and how we're, killing the planet and ourselves with all of the pollution and whatnot that comes from these fossil fuel industry. And so here we are in a more educated day and age. So instead of just saying we're trying to get rid of those jobs and creating a campaign saying how renewables are trying to kill jobs, talking about all those jobs and the training from all the people that were in the coal industry or other fossil fuel jobs, how they can be trained to come over to the renewable side of things.
That's the part, it's exciting on one aspect, but also very sad on the other, is the hope. And on the flip side, you have these mining companies who they go bankrupt so that they don't have to pay out the benefits to the miners who have gotten sick. They go bankrupt and then they just open up under another name and the mine keeps operating. And that's just how it goes.
It should be completely illegal to do that. I
was going to say the one thing that is good though on the hope side is there are other companies now who have recognized that there's an opportunity to retrain these workers into clean energy jobs. And so there are programs in place, which it's amazing because these are good people who want to work and they work hard. And there is this really deep mindset that this is all they know and this is what they want their kids to do because they have been several generations of people working in coal, but now they don't have to. So being shown that we're not vilifying them, we're trying to find a path for them and we agree, we want them to work, we want them to be healthy and happy. That's the message that we should be pushing forward.